Watford 4, Manchester United 1. Surely that was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's last match in charge of United, Janusz.
Yeah, well, here we are again, right? Asking ourselves a question. How good is Manchester United? How good is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not good enough. We've been saying that because he's been giving us reasons, Mark, just about every week, before matches, during matches, at halftime, afterwards as well. And it's not even a question of trying to stick the knife in the back of him, but he's done that for a long period of time now. So if you look at the debacle at Old Trafford against Liverpool, if you look at Manchester City, I mean, it was only 2-0, could have been 5 or 6 or 7, really, total domination. Even in the Champions League, they haven't been very good. 2-2 against Atalanta wasn't a great game. And here we are against Claudio Ranieri and Watford 4-1. I mean, it's just unacceptable. And yes, welcome Zinedine Zidane or somebody else, whoever it may be.
Have the Manchester United players let down Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, or is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer simply not good enough and up to the task?
Well, I mean, the answer is always both. I think I've answered the first part. I don't think he's good enough, experienced enough to deal with these players. I mean, they are good enough. There's enough good players in that. Let's not forget, ahead of the season, we talked about Manchester United as one of the contenders for the title. And the reason we said that, because, they've bought players like Jadon Sancho, Varane, and Cristiano Ronaldo, right? So you have to include them in the conversation. And here we are in a situation where Manchester United will not win the title this year. That is obvious. But if they're not careful, if they don't change something or get a new manager, they may be in a fight for the Champions League. Look at their position right now. This is a team that's lost already 5 games in the Premier League this season, right? And, you look at the teams like West Ham, obviously Chelsea are running away. Manchester City are good enough and better. Liverpool are going to be in the fight as well. If you had West Ham and maybe a couple other teams, they're going to struggle. So I think you got to do it sooner rather than later.
Is there a chance Ole Gunnar Solskjaer walks before he's pushed?
No, that never happens these days. I don't think you're going to see a mutual consent. I mean, anything in football is possible, I suppose. I don't think that's the case. I'm trying to give him a little bit of credit somewhere in there. Even at halftime, Mark, I did a little bit because Martial was involved in the goal, right? Danny van de Beek crossed the ball as well, but then after that, we didn't see much more of Martial, and even made a massive mistake. I think it was on the 4th goal. So it's a disaster. And if you combine, Harry Maguire. That's a whole other story, really, and his second yellow, because everybody seems to think that he's one of the best center backs in the world, but forget the red card or the second yellow. I mean, he's just a decent center back, nothing more.
Well, I'm not sure he silenced his critics today, that recent gesture when he was playing for England. Who's let who down? The players? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? Why did we reach here? And how did we reach this point?
Well, because no matter how good the team is individually, you have to create a team. And I get the impression before each game this season, right, in all competitions, really, for that matter, is that, when I watch Manchester United, it's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer kind of throwing out the ball and say, okay, boys, figure it out, right? I mean, you don't see Manchester United with a blueprint that you can recognize every game, the consistency, either pressing or possession game or counterattacking game. So, it's you have the stars who still need directions. Of course, the players have let him down. They all like him. He's a likable figure, that. You can see that, but I think there needs to be a lot more when you have players like that. He's missed some, but so has everybody else. So the players are, I think you've got to put a lot of blame on the players as well, because they've been games where they have to rise to the occasion. And I've mentioned the results already, especially the big ones. You don't need a manager. You don't need Ole Gunnar Solskjaer not to get hammered by Liverpool at home at Old Trafford and Manchester City. That is down to players. They've got to do better than that.
Has the board, have the owners waited too long? They could have avoided all this if they'd moved quicker.
Yes, and I think it's down to what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has done for the club as a player. I think you got to give him credit.
But that's not. I mean, I totally get that, Janusz.
Hold on.
That's nonsense if they're doing that.
Well, I think in the beginning he has changed the culture, right? Just a little bit. I think when the players and the fans like you, to a certain degree, I think you got to give the manager benefit of the doubt. The trouble is
he went over to the fans after the game and they booed him today. That's got to really mean the end now.
Right.
If he's lost the fans.
Today it means the end. But you've asked me a different questions. Today it's obvious, right? This is something that he's not going to be able to survive. That is for sure. Maybe he shouldn't have survived after Manchester City game. And the answer to that was yes. Maybe it's too late. Maybe it was the Liverpool game. For me, the Liverpool game at Old Trafford, when your biggest rival, you lose 5-0, that's the time. When you pull the trigger on that one. So that was the point where I knew it was done. If you ask me, of course, I kind of saw it. I mean, he's been there for a long time now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They've got probably one of the biggest wage bills in the Premier League. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer did not get a good tune out of a very expensive fiddle. You're looking, if you're Manchester United, for a head coach that improves players. Would Zinedine Zidane do that? Would Brendan Rodgers do that? Who should they be looking at to get a better tune out of these talented players who've lost their way right now?
Well, they've missed the boat already once on Antonio Conte, right? He comes in and changes that team within a week. I promise you that. When I say changes that team, he just gets them organized, gives them a clear blueprint. If there's a manager that does that, it's Antonio Conte. So they've missed the boat on that. Zinedine Zidane, obviously he sees this as a little bit of a mess. I don't know if he's the candidate, but all we know is that he knows how to deal with egos, with big names, with big players, with big expectations. That's what happens when you're at Real Madrid and win as many trophies as Zinedine Zidane has. He won everything that there's to be won with Real Madrid. So I would really be trying to convince him to come over. So that's another candidate. Brendan Rodgers, we know he improves players, but now he's coming in on the back of really bad performances from Leicester City. And, that includes, of course, losing at home to Chelsea earlier today as well. So those are some of the names that are coming around. And yes, I would be pushing in particular for Zinedine Zidane. Is he going to succeed? Time will tell, but at least we know that he knows how to deal and manage with big clubs.
Finally, Janusz, every situation is usually fixable. Is there a quick fix for Manchester United?
Yes, give these players directions, a clear blueprint. Obviously, they're not getting that from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. There's still time to recover and make sure, of course, that they advance in the Champions League and that, there's no doubt that they make top 4. Right now, that's in danger.
Norwich City have won more times in the Premier League since the end of September than Manchester United. Surely the end is nigh for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.